Hello everybody, this is the first one back since your second test. Today we're going to be talking about exponential functions once again. Again, it's dealing with putting the x in the exponent. Now, how do we calculate interest? Well, we have this formula, which is the compound interest formula. To use this, you need to know the rate, the initial amount, time, and also how often it is compounded. What this means is you need to know how often they put the money into the account, or how often they charge the extra interest onto the account. So this situation, it will give a tiered look. Be careful about that. If it does not tell you how often it is compounded, then you can't use this formula. You'll instead use this formula, which is also known as PERT, which has variables of P0 or P0, which is the initial amount, E, which is a standard constant that's in your calculator. It should be above the ln button. R is the rate of increase or decrease, and T is the amount of time that has passed based on R. Why do I say based on R? If your rate is percentage based on months, well, then T is going to have to be in months. This does not mean if I say monthly that T is measured in months. This only applies for what R is. R for most interest problems is going to be annual percentage rate, so T has to be in years. Let's take a look at using PERT instead of the initial. So we're doing the same type of thing. Consider a student loan for $10,000 with interest rate of 3.5%, which is compounded continuously. How much will the loan cost after 4 years? By hearing the word continuously, that means we should be using PERT. So we have these variables. The n should not be in there, which when you calculate it out, you get the price or principal at year 4 will be $15,562. Now, if you remember back at the beginning, from the last video, the amount for the compounded semi-annually was only about $12,000, which shows continuously is worse for you for interest against you, depending on how often it is compounded. So uses of PERT. Here's the 3 basic uses. We have our continuously compounded interest. We have the population growth formula. So if something's talking about the population of a certain place with a specific growth rate, we're using PERT. Or half-life calculator. So if you're talking about the half-life of a chemical, you can use that to determine how old something is by measuring the amount of chemical it's in currently based on what used to be there. So those are some uses of PERT. Make sure you remember which is which, and see you next video.